Today, there are important updates from the Lyman direction. Drone warfare has become a defining feature of this war, and Ukraine has proven highly effective in using it both offensively and defensively. Ukrainians learned that when drone operators are forced to divide their attention between frontline combat and rear area strikes, their impact is weakened. By focusing their drone operations on the front line now, Ukrainians can push Russians back over the river and stabilize the front. By striking a fragile foothold across the river, Ukraine is moving to derail Russia's plan to turn scattered gains into a single assault axis. At the same time, this will allow Ukrainians to concentrate fully on targeting enemy logistics just as they have at Pokrovsk, where focused drone attrition is steadily dismantling the Russian Pokrovsk offensive. Here, Ukrainian commanders launched a preemptive counteroffensive to disrupt Russian plans to expand their bridgeheads. With recent information that the Russians are gathering significant forces for a renewed assault, this could be another make-or-break moment for the Ukrainian defense. The Russian military has expanded several bridgeheads across the Zarabets River. It now plans to use them as stepping stones for a larger offensive toward Borova and Lyman in the coming weeks. Their objective is to widen the crossings and bring reinforcements to launch a broader push once conditions allow. With the spring mud season approaching fast, Russia has little time left to solidify its presence. Adding to the pressure, only one hardened road leads from Svatov, the main Russian logistical hub, toward Borova. If the Russians fail to secure this road and broaden their bridgehead, any serious offensive risks collapsing under logistical strain, especially once the terrain becomes impassable for armored vehicles. Recognizing this, Ukrainian forces have taken the initiative. The Ukrainian 3rd Army Corps, particularly the 3rd Assault Brigade, is not waiting for the Russian offensive to gain momentum and materialize. Instead, they acted to deny the Russians the opportunity to transform their fragile foothold into a viable launch pad by destroying the bridgehead before any potential assault. As you remember, Ukrainian forces have already eliminated a significant portion of Russian artillery in the area, significantly weakening Russian fire support capabilities, crucial for their offensive. Now, they are pushing forward in a determined counterattack. Ukrainian troops have begun reclaiming positions along the 3rd Assault Brigade's area of responsibility as part of a deliberate effort to squeeze the Russians out. The bridgehead the Russians hold here is the narrowest along the Zarabets River line, and that makes it the most fragile. By targeting it first, Ukraine can quickly disrupt Russian planning and roll back the line before the enemy gets a chance to exploit its foothold. Once the area is cleared, Ukrainian forces from this sector can be redeployed to bolster defenses elsewhere along the 3rd Army Corps zone, further complicating Russia's offensive ambitions. As Ukrainians push toward Ryhorodka, they are regaining fire control over the only hardened road in the area, the very one Russians need to move heavy equipment from Svatove to their offensive toward Borova. With the ground near the river turning to mud much earlier than the higher elevations where Ukrainian forces are entrenched, the road becomes even more critical for Russian logistics. If Ukraine maintains pressure and control in this area, Russia will be unable to move armored vehicles west, and the road will be reduced to a liability constantly targeted, under fire, and of little use to a stalled Russian effort amidst worsening terrain conditions. Therefore, this counterattack is more than a defensive response. It is a preemptive strike to collapse the foundation of a planned Russian offensive before it even begins. And timing is everything. Russian forces reportedly gathered as many as 30,000 troops for a renewed assault in the Borova-Lyman direction. If Ukraine can derail that buildup now, they will have spoiled Russian plans to advance to the Oskol River with a single decisive campaign. Overall, Ukraine's counterattack along the Casualties River is calculated to sabotage the foundation of Russia's next offensive before it gets off the ground. Turning the terrain, timing, and firepower advantage squarely in Ukraine's favor can potentially force the Russian command to change plans for their spring campaign in this direction. One of the latest reports, the death toll for Russian troops in the Ukraine war may be as high as 250,000, according to Britain's Ministry of Defense. The Russian armed forces have likely sustained approximately 900,000 casualties, killed and wounded, since invading Ukraine in 2022. The ministry said in its intelligence update published Thursday morning. Of these, it is likely 200,000 to 250,000 Russian soldiers have been killed, Russia's largest losses since the Second World War. Whatever the figures, it is clear that both sides have suffered big losses. Russia has a much deeper supply of troops than Ukraine, but it is not unlimited, and it has had to rely on soldiers from North Korea to help it fight Ukrainians on its own territory. As the fighting continues, Russia and Ukraine are edging closer to a truce brokered by the U.S., which is seeking a full 30-day ceasefire as a bridge to a full peace deal. Ukraine had supported a full ceasefire, but Russia has for now rejected one. Putin and Zelensky have so far agreed to stop striking each other's energy infrastructure, though the finer details of this partial ceasefire are yet to be worked through. And each side has accused each other of breaking the general agreement. Estimates of the losses in Russia's war on Ukraine vary and are difficult to verify. Each side has an incentive to minimize the number of its own losses and maximize those of its opponent. In December, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said around 43,000 Ukrainian soldiers had been killed and approximately 370,000 wounded since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. And Russia rarely acknowledges losses officially and does not provide regular figures. The British Defense Ministry said Russian President Vladimir Putin and his military leadership highly likely prioritize their conflict objectives over the lives of Russian soldiers. They are almost certainly prepared to tolerate continuously high casualty rates so long as this does not negatively affect public or elite support for the war. And those losses can be replaced, the ministry said. Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform earlier this week, "Thousands of young soldiers and others are being killed. Each week brings 2,500 soldier deaths from both sides, and it must end now."